right here, man. This job's going fantastic. It's getting along fantastic. We've worked a couple jobs since the last time I talked to y'all. Me and Moon did a small job. Robin and Roger come in and skidded it out. And Moon trucked it out. Dan, I'm a trucker. A little snug through here. But now we're set up on a big job. Really good landowner. He's an airplane pilot. And ladies, I think he's single. But he's an airplane pilot, and rather big job, pretty densely marked, a lot of red oak, and some poplar. Derek and Rod, Derek's cutting, I'm cutting, Moon's skidding, Roger's skidding, and Jordan, when he gets out of school, he's gonna come up and drive a truck, maybe some, drive tiny. But things are rolling pretty smooth right now. We're starting to get inventory built up at the mill. We're starting to get used to everybody falling into place, and actually fixing a few things on the resaw and trying to fix a few more things. It's an uphill battle, but we're getting there. But I'm kind of in a state of right now a kind of euphoria. I never thought I'd get the dog days of summer again, but I'm starting to feel them. I'm starting to feel laid back and just proud of everybody and happy with everything. Been reading a book. I wanted to share with y'all. This might be a little controversial to some of you, but it shouldn't be. Been reading a book, an audio book about Jack Welch, the guy that ruined GE, and it got me to thinking of a lot of things. I'll just share with y'all my thoughts on that if you don't care. Back in the 80s, like 81, they, General Electric gave the keys over to a guy that was an Irishman, Irish descent. He wasn't Irish, but he's Irish descent. Grew up in a middle of the road house there type of thing. His mom didn't work, but his dad was a choo-choo train driver. So he kind of got into it. He was really good, real committed, and real hungry, and he got into a lot of it was through little tantrums and stuff, and hard work. He got himself up to where they give him the keys to the company. Well, he was pretty much a monster, but he's a guy that kind of realmed outsourcing, shipping jobs away from America and all that mess. Cuts, shutting factories down, dropping labor. He looked at labor, and instead of looking at people that worked at GE as his companions, he looked at them as opponents. So he got pushed real hard into the globalist mentality, kind of welcome, kind of give a welcoming feel to it. And Reagan actually, of course, I love Reagan. I'll just get that out there in the open. I was a Reagan advocate, but nobody's perfect, and Reagan wasn't either. One thing he did do is he laxed up the regulations to kind of deregulate capitalism more. Well, it kind of went, runaway capitalism, great. I love capitalism, but runaway capitalism is kind of an issue on itself. I read another book about my boy Teddy Roosevelt. I love that son of a buck. My favorite dude. He's right middle of the road. He was center right, but Roosevelt called it as it was. And he was one of these types. He didn't look at politics like something you went into. He wasn't a deep stater. he'd be in and then he'd be out. Then he'd be in and he'd be out. And when he's out, he was out. He went ranching, he went and done stuff like that, you know. So he was well aware of the fact that you needed capitalism and there needs to be a wealth gap. But he knew at the same time there needs to be a stopper set up on wealth gap, you know, because that encourages runaway capitalism. So Reagan relaxed a bunch of the regulations, and some was good, but some was bad. And then Clinton come along, and Clinton kind of he passed a lot of things that helped globalism, where people would move offshore. And then between Reagan's things and Clinton's things, and people started, you know, smart people got into finance at that time, and they got used to hiding their money, so the money was leaving America, basically, the U.S. Well, then the erosion of the middle class, and then middle America, and all that stuff happened. You know, and I guess they're kind of giving Jack they're kind of hanging him with kind of hanging him on it, you know. And I tell you, I look at that, and feel free to try to change my mind if one of y'all want to, but I look at that like, you look at World War II and what Hitler did, you know, Hitler was a monster. But with what happened to the Versailles Treaty and all the stuff that happened in France, there was going to be a monster run Germany. That's all there was to it. The German people had enough. So yeah, Hitler was horrible, but you don't know that there wouldn't have been Adolf Hitler or something like that running the country instead. I mean, there's going to be somebody like that running the country because the environment's ripe for that person to climb to the top of the dominance hierarchy. Well, you know, as Jack Welch did in a regulatory environment and the situation. So basically the wage gap just went bananas one way towards the elite and the investment people, and then left and got sucked out of the factory, basically. Not just the workers was eating the crap, but the reinvestment in technology and everything was eating the crap. So he got to talking about, so that happened in 1981. Jack Welch ran GE for 20 years and retired in 2001, right before 9/11. He retired, he set up his replacement. His replacement took over more. Basically, it was like a kid picking a cookie off the top shelf and standing on top of books and multiple chairs and everything else. GE was sitting on shaky legs because its infrastructure and its people hadn't been reinvested in it in decades. So basically, it started falling to crap. You know, they buy up companies and gut them to look good on the balance sheet, so it looks good for investors. That's the type of things that tactics they pull. Well, you all seen it. We've all seen it. The sign of the company changing hands 14 times, and then the company gets gutted, downsized, shipped off to the scrapper, and all those people gets laid off. You know, that stuff happens. But at the end, when he passed away in 2019, you know, everybody was still proud of him. You know, Trump spoke words for him and everything else. And I got to thinking, if they're hanging him for what happened to capitalism, they claim that he's the man that broke capitalism. Which I'm not convinced capitalism is broke. I'll admit it's got a little cold, but I ain't admitted it's broke. But anyways, how did the guy, stop! Okay. So I got to thinking, now here I'm thinking out loud, why would people still praise him when there's all these other goonies that ran, you know, like, freaking Boeing and Lockheed Martin and all the other big companies? They was all all ran by people trained by Jack Welch. You know, they's all trained. Everybody's companies was ran by people that was trained by Jack Welch. How come everybody had a bad taste in their mouth of them, but not Jack Welch? You know? And they were short term and stuff like that. I was like, what is the thing? What is the thing? Well, Jack Welch started working at GE, ran GE, then retired from GE. And that's kind of what the rest of them wasn't connected to their companies. So I got to thinking, you know, I've worked with people that are dicks. I've done all that stuff in the past. I've been around here. And I've seen them, you know, people that can't get along with people, people that causes trouble, people that makes other people quit their jobs and stuff like that. People that runs people off, you know, all this stuff. We've all seen this stuff. And I got to thinking, the rest of the people that's left, if they run somebody off and they stay, the rest of us that's left tends to overlook that the best we can. We strike it up as a character flaw, we work around the person, and we just kind of try not to touch them off. Well, what happened with Jack Welch, you know, and usually the people that somebody like that can run off are usually the weak people anyways. They're not somebody that's entirely committed. Usually. I've been there and done that. Usually that's who leads, the weaker players. So you can look at it like, well, survival of the fittest, it's communism. It's capitalism, it's survival of the fittest, and it'll work. That ain't necessarily the case. As long as they don't quit. If you go and pull a bunch of narcissistic shenanigans, try to fluff your own nest at your work spot, and then you quit, you're going to leave a pile of enemies behind. But Jack Welch never quit. He stuck with it. He started General Electric. He did a small job like pushing broom or something like that, the typical stuff. And when he left, he retired as a guy running the company. So I think I might have played a little bit into the, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Anybody got anything to add to this conversation? By all means, please add to it. As far as we're going, this is the 14th of August. August the 23, 2022. And we are starting to beef up. We're going to try to end this month with 500,000 feet of inventory, get it set off for a winter beef up schedule. And through this fall, we're going to be trying to beef up timber all fall and get ourselves beefed up to where we got inventory going into the winter. So we start getting bad weather in the winter. We get a lot of wet, soggy weather down here in the winter. It don't freeze up tight like it does up north. So we get freezing, thaw, wet, slimy, sloppy mud. So to do a good job on the environment, you get very few working windows through the winter. You get some, but they're short and there's few of them, and you can't keep the mill running. So you have to have this inventory built up in the fall to where it'll carry you through the winter. Those of you that's not familiar. Now, right now, when the trees start changing, the leaves start changing, all that stuff, the bark tightens up and the water goes down in the trees. And when your sap goes down in the trees, you can store them trees for a few months. Till then, you got a perishable, your product will perish in a matter of weeks. It'll stain, get nasty, and start degrading your lumber pretty bad. So you can't really build up inventory till the sap goes down, which we're flirting with it right now. We still got higher sap, but we're going to rotate inventory and try to keep up with it. So we can get to the end of September, and the end of September, it's full balls to the wall, full sap down, go for it. So that kind of gives y'all what we're trying to do as a schedule here. Pretty proud of everybody. The logging crew is really doing tight. The sawmill crew is really doing good. I'm proud of everybody. I really feel like we're turning turning over a new leaf here. I really do. I've been on